Hey guys, just Forsaken Reality here, 32nd episode of the multiplayer Remnant tutorial series. In this one, we're going to be looking into setting up our pickup system, and we're going to be starting off by setting up some currencies. So basically, just to show that it's replicated here and everything, we can walk up to our currency, press E, pick it up, and it'll add currency, scrap, or iron, which I have here, which I will set up in this series. First I'll do scrap, and at the end I'll do iron once I have the whole system set up, just to show you how to add a new currency to your system, and they will move into other types of pickups and things like that as well, like our rings and necklaces, and there's a few other things that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. Without further ado, we will get in setting this up. First thing I'm going to do, as usual, is just move my project over here. Open up this project. So we have our test project here. Or I have my test project over there, and I have my main project here, sorry. And I'm just going to create an input for picking up an item. I'm just going to call this interact, because eventually it will be for all interaction. And I'm just going to use the E. That will work for now. Close out your project settings. You can get to those through here. And notice mine was already open in the edit. So the first thing we're going to do is add our pickup collision to our character. So we're going to search for collision. We're going to get sphere collision. That's going to be our pickup collision right here. Let's compile and save that. I'm just going to move my pickup collision down here in line with my character's feet. And I'm going to set the size to 60. Make sure everything's in line so that when my feet's on the floor, I'll have the half capsule right here. And this will be my pickup collision on a normal flat surface. So there's that. And we're going to want to go to our input graph. I'm just going to right click and close tabs to the right. Open up that fresh. Or actually, I'm just going to go to my event graph for this. Collapse these. Comment that for now. Select our pickup collision. Scroll down on begin overlap and on end overlap. And my dodge state here, I'm just going to put into this dodge that I have here. Just notice that variable's hanging out down there by himself. And I'm going to create a new variable for now. And this is going to be to check if we're standing on an item. And it's going to be set here. But we're going to need our pickup blueprints to start creating references to those. So we're going to go to our blueprints folder, our items, and in here we will create a folder called pickups. And once we're in here, we'll click blueprint class, actor, master pickup. So this will be the main class that will handle all of our other pickup items. And now we can go back to our character for now, and other actor has to master pickup. I guess we only need this once because I'm going to convert this to a variable. It's going to be our pickup reference. It's going to create a category for this pickup variables here. And from here, we are going to set standing on item. It's true. And we can get a pickup reference, and we can check is equal to actually I'm just going to do another cast because later on when we do our adjustments for other pickups, there will be an array to store specific things. But for now, this is going to work out just fine. We're going to set our standing. We'll keep that false, so we're not standing an item, and we are standing an item. Basically, that's what that will determine. So it's in the collision. It will set it means we leave the collision disabled, standing an item. And I keep thinking this variable will be better if we put it into our master pickup. We'll do that after if we need to. For now, we have the pickup collision set up fine. Next thing we're going to do, just looking at my notes, is we're going to want to go into our master pickup. And just create a few variables for our currency. Or before we do this, we're going to create an enum to store our currency types. So we'll go into our enums, blueprints, _currency type. And create a few here, none. And I'll actually keep this one off for now so I can show you at the end. But this probably will make all our currency types, and the first one's going to be scrap. I'm going to save that. And in our master pickup, first we're going to go in here and delete these two. But from our begin play, we're going to cast to master character. And we get our player character. And we're going to promote this to a variable to create a reference to our character in here. So now we have a reference in our items that we can use throughout all of our children and through our character as well. Let's click comment. So now that we have this done, our first variable, we're going to want a variable for our enum too. So we're going to currency type variable. We'll get our e underscore currency type enum. That'll have all of our currency types in here, right? Any extras you want, you can add there. I'll add another one at the end when I add a new currency. It's going to be an instance editable and expose on spawn. Create currency amount, and that's going to be an integer. Max currency stack. And minimum currency stack, and these will basically be to determine the minimum and the maximum amount of currency you can possibly have on an item, so that you can have, when you pick up the item, it could be minimum of 5 and a maximum of 150 and or anything in between. We're going to set up a function to determine that using these two variables. And that's all the variables we will need. Just going to currency amount. It's going to be private because we're not going to want to adjust that per item. And I'll just show you what I mean there. If you create a child, for example, for our scrap, and we open that up, you'll notice currency amount is not in there. But if we turn private off, all of a sudden the currency amount is there. It's just a value that's not going to be edited, or personally it'll be set through these two variables to get our currency amount. So we'll just turn that off, and through here we can set our minimum currency. So we created our scrap blueprint, 5 scrap, and just the minimum, and 25 will be the maximum that you can get. Currency type scrap. And our minimum, maximum, we can make instance editable and expose. Instance editable. We don't really need it to expose on spawn, I guess. We can disable expose, because that's just if you want to set. If you drag this out in here, there's a pin that'll expose. This is on spawn. So basically right now we only have our currency type, but exposed on spawn. Let me disable that. And it seems to be, I guess that it's doing it because we have none of them set. Maybe it just defaults it to them all. I'm not really sure. I don't really use the expose and spawn too often. I don't really edit things mainly in the map. I mainly edit things within the blueprints and create the children of them. So that's an odd one for me. Yeah, anyway. So now that we have that set up, private, instance editable, we can start creating our function to set the currency. It's in the stack on the ground. So currency amount in stack. Create a function in your master pickup. And for this one, it's going to be a simple function. And it's going to get the maximum and the minimum. It's going to get a random integer in range from the minimum minimum to the maximum. So whatever we put in here, so from 5 to 25, it'll get a random integer between those. And it will set the current amount. And we can have a return so we can output our current amount. Through this function. And now we're going to need another function called add currency. But we're also going to need a reference to our specific pickup reference, so we can determine which pickup is being actually picked up, so it'll know which currency type to run through and set our currency amount for that specific currency. So to do that, we need to go to our master character, and we have our pickup reference here being set when we stand on the item. And I'm actually going to set this right here to nothing. I guess you don't need to do that. So we'll go to our input graph, and in here, we'll look for our pickup or interact action input that we created in our project settings earlier. And when this is pressed, first thing we're going to do is check if we're standing an item, because we don't need to run through the code if we're not. So check if you're standing on something that you can interact with. And if you are, we are going to get our pickup reference. We're going to add currency. And to send this pickup reference through here, we can go into here, create an input. To our pickup reference. So now there's the target for where we're getting this add currency function to and the variable that we're sending into it. So now we're adding the currency and sending the pickup reference in through here. So now we have access to the specific item picked up. And that will be the target for our current amount in stack, so that it'll get the specific amount for the item. It'll run through and create the current amount. I'll have that stored in, but it'll be stored within the specific child blueprint, and we'll be using this to add it to our specific item. So with here we can also get our currency type, create a switch, and that will allow you to get an input for each and every single input you create in here. And I'm also going to create a local variable to our current amount in this function, only accessible within this function, because it just it'll make things look a little neater when we access this variable later on, rather than having pins out for every single time we need it. This will be our local current amount. So basically you can't access this variable outside of this function, it's only in here. That just makes things a little neater, I find. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. So if there's none, I'm just going to make a print string. And that means that you don't have your currency type set right here. That's basically what that will mean. Also, it's going to make a debug message. Set your currency type. And if we have a scrap, we're going to want to add to something. So we're going to want to come into our master character and create a variable. I'm just going to go currency underscore scrap. So that's this is going to be our scrap integer to store our scrap currency. I know we don't have a save system in yet, which we will use to save this when we between login and logging out and things like that. But for now, this will allow you to store this variable in here, and it'll also be used to store it in our save system once we set that up. So now we have this scrap variable created. We can get our local current amount, which is the random output from here from 5 to 25. And we can add that to our character reference currency scrap. So whatever our current scrap is, it will add the output of this into there. So from 5 to 25. And we'll set that to that. So whatever our scrap is before we pick things up, plus what goes in through here between 5 and 25 will create our final scrap output. And I got this value. I meant to put that in there. I meant to go get the character, set scrap. There we go. So there's our scrap being set. And I'm just gonna drag out of here, type, or I'm just gonna right click and type append. Print string, plug this in. So this will be about what the text will say is, and whatever the output is will be. So it'll say scrap, and then there's a space here. And then we'll put the current scrap that we picked up. So whatever our scrap plus this adds to will be what this input will print out. Comment this amount of currency in stack plus scrap. And from here, so now we have it. Adding our currency, we're standing on the item, running through this function, getting the amounts, the random amounts add, and adding that to your currency. So we can test this out by dropping, we actually don't have a mesh set up. I want to go into our master pickup. just going to drop down to static mesh. And for now, I'm just going to set a cube. Since I don't have a mesh personally, drag that up above the line so it sits flat when you drop it into the world. And I don't think we need collision. Nope, that's all we want. Just gonna test this. It's adding scrap, but it's not deleting it. And we have some collision there, so go to your master pickup, go to your pickup mesh. No collision. Make sure the overlap events is still on though, because you want to be able to overlap it. And that seems to break it. So we do want to I'm just going to check the collision on mine. So just, yeah, it was block all dynamic. Generate overlap events. I'm just going to set up a custom collision. And I'm going to overlap the pawn, physics, vehicle destruction. Ignore projectiles, sit on static and block on dynamic and static. Overlap these and leave that on block. Now our collision should be set up fine, but it doesn't seem to be. What's going on here? This. I think I might need to turn on. Yeah, I needed to re-enable the generate overlap events. Don't know why I disabled that. And there we go. That's working there, and we're not stepping up onto our currency. There's what we want. That's what we were looking for. Always random little collision issues that they gotta be careful with. Can get really confusing. That's for sure. So now that we have their scrap set up like that, we'll want to go into our character, go into our replication graph, because we'll need to create a replicated destroy for our item when we pick it up. And we'll just put it in our character so we can access it other times, because there's other things we'll want to destroy as well later on down the road. So basically we come in here, right click, custom event. This is going to be the server. Destroy actor. Run on server reliable. Another custom event. Multicast destroy actor. And we're going to call our multicast right there like that. Drag it up here and get our actual destroy actor function. And the target we're just going to plug into our multicast. And make sure you get your target that's not the self reference. Plug it in here. So it's the actor object, not the self object. And we'll also want to make sure that's set to multicast and reliable. And that is our replicated destroy actor. So we run the server and it will run on all clients and destroy it. So now basically we want to go to our input graph, where we created our input for our interaction. And I'm going to drag out server destroy actor. And you want to be careful with this, because if you don't plug in the target, this means that it's getting a reference to the self automatically. So, for example, running up on our money, pick it up, and it's not destroying it. And it's running an error on the destroy actor because it's trying to destroy your character. And that's just causing an error. Thought it would destroy the actor, but the character, but I guess not. So you want to get the reference, make sure it's referencing your pickup reference. And you want to make sure it's destroying it after you add the currency, because if you destroy the currency and then you try to run into this master pickup, then there's no actor there to run into anymore, so this will fail. And there we go, we destroyed it, we picked it up, and we can't pick it up again. And if we do it on the client, so look at them from the server. And pick it up. So that's our first pickup created. It's 31 minutes in, but I'll quickly set up a second one. I'm just going to create a material. And hold 3 and click to create your color node, 3 vector. And I'm going to set the color to just brown. My pickup mesh, set my material to this, hold Alt and click and drag. You can actually create multiple of your mesh like this, makes it a little easier. So that's just 3 these that I have out here. And now I'm going to create a second one just to show you how to create one. So you want to create a second currency, or add a third, fourth, or fifth, or any amounts. So you want to add a new one. Iron, you can add as many as you want. This will just be an example of how to add one after you have the whole system in place. So you type in iron in your currency type, enum. That creates the type for iron, which is a new currency we're going to create. Go to your items, pickups, right click, create a child. Create your iron pickup, open it up, set your iron, the amount it can be. I can get 2 iron to 10 is the maximum, and 2 is, or 10 is the maximum, and 2 is the minimum. I should probably swap those variables around. Double check on the scrap, make sure I didn't mess that up. Yeah, I did too. It did just 5 for the minimum, 25 for the maximum. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now we have our new currency type set up. We have our new currency. That's all set up. So we're going to go to our master pickup, add currency. First, we're going to go to our character actually to create the actual currency itself. Currency underscore iron. Make sure it's an integer. Just going to put these in the pickup so you can create a currency category, which would probably be a little more useful. But I'm going to work with this for now. You notice that when you go into your master pickup and you click the add currency function, that there's a new input for every one you put in here. You can literally just select this whole one right here and copy and paste it. Obviously change the naming from iron and get your iron currency from your character and replace your scrap. Set iron. And you don't need that print string there. If you don't want it, you can just delete all this if you wanted to. And also the same thing up here. It's just for debugging. You can just simply plug this in like that. And now it will add iron ore as a new currency. I believe that is everything for that one. I'm just going to create a material. For the iron, 3 vector base material, hold 1. Just gonna plug it into the metallic to give it a metallic look. Hold 1 again. Roughness is 0. And so you get an actual metal look. Go to your iron, pick up mesh. And just setting defaults, you can say create your own, get your own meshes and things for your iron pickups and different things like that if you wanted. Set those up however you want. They'll most likely come with their own materials. You can click that to browse to your pickups folder. And we can just drop some iron into the world. Now we pick up scrap, and we pick up iron. Pick up some more scrap, pick up some iron, and there's less amounts. It's clear that we have iron and scrap as 2 different currencies. And it will work for the client as well. 6 iron there. Serve now is 6 iron. Just happen to pick up the same amount. See if I can get it to go to a different variable. There we go. That'll make, I don't think you can get 12. So server 4. So we have 4 iron and he has 12. That one went on a little longer than I expected, but we got it all done. Found this video helpful and want to see more, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on new tutorial video uploads. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, feel free to leave those in the comment section below or join my Discord community using the link in the description. Thanks, and I'll see you all in the next episode.